Hello my fellow Americans, Senator John Rube Boob here. Your Dominion-elected representative of Congress to give you a word from the United States government. Our plans of destroying the country with hyperinflation and color revolution are going well, but we keep running into problems. As it turns out, after lying about it for over a year, COVID-19 probably did originate in a Wuhan, Chinese laboratory. And the United States government and Dr. Fauci directly had involvement in the work behind creating the virus. Now that this information was forced out of Fauci in a congressional hearing, our entire narrative surrounding COVID-19 is collapsing dramatically. Much like the chemical weapons we sold Saddam Hussein, which he used to genocide millions of Kurds. Or the weapons, military training and millions of dollars we gave bin Laden. Or any of the random 20th century genocides we sponsored. In order to find the origins of COVID-19, all we had to do was look at the receipts. But this entire thing was a scam and subterfuge for the Great Reset and our trying to initiate the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And in reality, all of that is just a ploy from those in power trying to maintain power in a dying system. But now everything is fucked up. You see the lockdowns virtually evaporating in several parts of the country with no consequences. While the rest of the country is stuck in a cult-like lunacy pretending the invisible evil that is everywhere is going to get them at any moment if they don't have a piece of cloth over their face. Meanwhile, only about 30% of you from our own admission believe what your dopamine porn screens are telling you and are shooting up our magical science brew for a meme flu virus that has a 99.98% chance of survival. The fact that the majority of Americans don't believe anything we, the powers that be, say anymore, has dramatically fucked up our plans. But we obviously think you're completely retarded, which is why we're trying to goad you into shooting up government-mandated mystery juice by offering you donuts and burgers for taking the jab. All of our algorithms monitoring the internet and society are telling us that you, the American people, just don't buy anything we're selling anymore. As you're tuning out and turning away en masse from everything we control. And like a cult initiation where members are forced to commit fake suicides with guns they think are loaded. That 30% of the country that actually took our magic potion is now psychologically forced to buy everything we say completely. Or face a complete psychological breaking. And this cult will continue to be radicalized, demoralized and agitated until they wind up destroying everything around them before destroying themselves. But don't worry, everything we say, especially numbers, are lies. So who really knows what's happening? One source says 30% of people took the jab. One source says 50% of Americans took the jab. We can't even figure out how many of our own people are actually dumb enough to shoot the shit. 40 to 60% of Fauci's own top CDC officials refuse to take the vaccines. These are the top medical experts in the country tasked with setting the country's health policy who have forced all of this on you. The same people telling us that the flu disappeared overnight because of forced wearing of masks. Yet they tell us COVID outbreaks continually explode, forcing further lockdowns and the erosion of American rights and quality of life because of people not wearing masks. The vaccines don't provide an immunity to COVID. They don't stop the transmission of COVID. In fact, no one is really sure what they do long term. And if you experience a severe adverse reaction or die from the vaccine, there will be no compensation from the vaccine manufacturer or the government. As we have 100% zero liability. These are also the people who change the parameters of testing. Where before, virtually any coronavirus including influenza would trigger a positive COVID test. Where now the testing has been changed where it's much harder to trigger a positive if you have a vaccine. And the tests have been rigged to show the numbers are falling dramatically under our new puppet president. COVID-19 numbers are as real as US elections. Also, please forget about how we have now had decades of history of lying to you about OxyContin and every other pharmaceutical plague that has hit society in the last 30 years. But look, we're not forcing the vaccine on you. You just can't work, receive healthcare or attend any of society's events. But we're not forcing it on you. At least until next year when we're forcing it on you as a COVID passport. As a cover for our own version of China's communist social credit system we desperately want to implement here in the United States. We're our house slaves who will literally shoot poison as far as they know or forcibly separated from anyone who might be a little too smart for our scams and corruption. But your reaction to the fraudulent election and us trying to shoot you up with government skag has been troubling to say the least. All we wanted was a nice little color revolution as we treated you like cattle. While we lock you in an infantile, common core, dopamine-filled, Plato's cave of made-up problems like climate change, racial disharmony and culture wars. So that you never figure out or do anything about who's fucking you and your society every day. While you collapse into a third-world state-dependent nightmare that you'll never escape from. You're not supposed to figure out things like Black Lives Matter as the Susan G. Komen of Black Death. Every time a black person dies tragically, they have to appear to insert their brand. Or that Black Lives Matter is not run by, or for, black people. You're not supposed to make all the connections between wealthy people, organizations and motives that fuck you every day of your life. You're not supposed to question why the deadliest pandemic of our lifetime require constant testing to prove that it's ripping through communities. You're not supposed to question why the government actively pushes legal heroin on its citizens in an epidemic that has killed more Americans every year than the Vietnam War. While turning every American city into a third-world shithole. Yet the government will destroy millions of American lives over a meme flu for your own protection. But none of this matters. We lie about everything. We say we want to legalize cannabis. Then we fire White House staffers who test positive for cannabis. We'll release a poll saying Joe Biden is the most popular president in history. Entities can poison millions of Americans with legal heroin. And we will never receive any sort of repercussions. And the majority of the country will just disappear while no one does anything. And history is recorded as the direct opposite of reality. And you will own nothing. And you will be happy. I am Senator John Rube Boob. And this is your United States government in action.
New world order.